Okay, today we're doing a little bit of a review for the cumulative test. The cumulative test is about loans and investments, and what came before that? Well, kind of like baby versions of loans and investments, where you didn't actually pay payments or anything. It was really, really simple. In fact, when we first started, do you remember me going all the way back to, I always started with use of one. And then I tried to explain to you that that meant a term and the term in front of it. And, oh, I'm pausing for a minute. Okay, so we had a singing telegram there, and I'm back. So, remember, we started these things a long time ago, and it was always use of 1. But that was good for something, because if we start with 8, and I ask you for like the 4th term, do you get that'll make it u sub 4? Why is it smarter sometimes? Some people are using their cell phones. Put them away now. I know it's a fun day and everything, but that doesn't mean you can have your cell phone out. Put it away. All right, this u sub 0 is also good for something. When is u sub 0 good for something? I see your cell phones. Put it away. Yes. All right, it is good for real world problems. Like for instance, let's say at after 3 days of growing this bacteria culture, well, after 3 days would be u sub 3 in this scenario. That's why this is good. U sub 0 is really good for real world problems. And you've been using that so long, you probably even forgot that you started with U sub 1 when we did this at the beginning. And then sometimes, when I give you a date, like year 2009 or something, we had 80 people in the cult. And then since then, it's grown. You could say in the year 2011, how many people did they have? All right. So anyway, so if you start with different things here for different reasons. Sometimes you start with years, sometimes you start with u sub 1, sometimes you start with u sub 0. All right, next thing, and this stumped a lot of people last hour. Let's see if it gets you. I'm going to give you one. Use your calculator and answer these simple questions about it. If we start with 20, I would like to know what the third term is, and I'd like to know whether this is geometric or arithmetic, and thirdly, I'd like to know what either the common ratio, and I'm not going to give it away by saying which one it is, or the common difference is. What's the third term? Is it geometric or arithmetic? And it's either got a common ratio or common difference. What is it? I'll pause for a second while you try to answer those 3. Making you try to recall something improves your memory of it once I tell you. So I'm going to make you try to recall it before I tell you. What did you say? Was the third term, do you go look for u sub 3? No, you don't. It's not u sub 3. I got some of you because I started with u sub 0. So if the first term is 20 for u sub 0, the next term it's a little smaller. I know that because that's decay. Does that word ring a bell? Okay, and what kind of decay is it? It's geometric decay because it isn't just adding or subtracting something each time. It's multiplying by, what is this? 1 minus 0.8, what's actually 0.85. 1 minus 0.15 is 0.85, and that is the common ratio, 0.85. I think some of you might have forgotten some of that stuff. All right, so what is the third term? Well, I probably would have used my calculator, and I just hope you didn't get burned by the whole, actually, I kind of hope some of you did. It's not u sub 3, is it? It's actually going to be u sub 2. That's why it's kind of annoying to start with a u sub 0, because then you're off by 1 each time. If you want the third term, you would actually have been, it would have been legal for you to change this to a 1 and then find u sub 3. You know what I mean? That doesn't really change your sequence. It just changes what you start with. So, all right, so anyway, bottom line, a couple thoughts there. When you get to a problem that says this, Do you get that 0.87 is something? Is it the growth rate? No. Is it the decay rate? No. It's got decay going on, but that's not the decay rate. Remember how I said to make that always was 1 plus or 1 minus something? And all the ones we did at the end were always 1 plus or 1 minus something? Remember that? So how do we make this into 1? We do a 1 plus something? No. 1 minus what? 0.13, and therefore the decay rate is actually 13%. So what's that 0.87? It's not the decay rate, it's geometric, yes, so it's a common ratio. That's the CR. That's the decay rate. Okay, that's just a quick reminder on the things I think you'll mess up on the most. The rest of it, even the hard questions, are ones you just did recently. Like if we said, here's a loan. Actually, we usually use some zero for loans. A $10,000 loan. And if I said, what was the frequency at which this interest was compounded? It's a complicated sounding question. Monthly, good. What was the annual rate? 5%. What was the payment? 200. And what if you went to your table, when would you find out when the thing got paid off? When it finally turned negative. And let's say it took 38 payments to turn negative. Then you made 38 payments of $200. You go 38 times 200. But then what's that little negative number in the column mean? They owe you money back, so you don't forget to subtract that off. And what if that ends up coming out to more than $10,000? It will, because you're paying interest. You're not just going to pay them back $10,000. That'd be a zero interest loan. They're going to charge you a total more than $10,000. Let's say it's $11,000. Then you subtract off the $10,000. The rest was interest. All right, that pretty much covers what you need to know. The worksheet's there. Remember, I want to keep this video so it works for other years, but you're not going to have the cumulative right away. We have one more full class period before you have the cumulative. So this assignment that I'm about to give you actually is not due until the time after your next class period. Okay, so you got some time to do this, but I get a bunch done tonight if I were you. So that's all I have for you for today.